There comes a moment in life when everything we know, everything we've built collapses. Maybe it's a job that no longer serves us, a relationship that ends before we are ready, or a version of ourselves we can no longer hold on to. And in that moment, we ask ourselves, what now? I'm Nicole Shahale, and this is Soulful Conversations, where we talk about the raw, the real, and the in-between. And today, we're talking about starting over. Not just how to do it, but how to survive it, how to protect your mental health, stay grounded, and trust yourself when everything feels uncertain. Because I've been there, maybe you have been too. So let's talk about it, the art of becoming new again. Have you ever woken up feeling lost? Like you're trapped in a version of yourself that no longer fits, but breaking free feels impossible. I know the feeling. Starting over, it's a phase that sounds full of hope, but if you're being honest, it can also feel terrifying. Not just because of the unknown, but because of the weight we carry, the overthinking, the self-doubt, the silent battles in our minds that no one else can see. And for some of us, starting over comes after a burnout. When your minds are too exhausted to keep up with the expectations maybe we have placed on ourselves or others have placed on us. And for others, it comes after a heartbreak, rejection, or even losing something we thought we'd always have. And then those are the moments when life just, it stops making sense. Mental exhaustion feels like losing yourself. No one talks about how mentally draining it is to start over, the endless decisions you have to make, the questioning of every move you make, the way your mind keeps circling back to what if, and am I making a mistake? I've been there. There are times you wake up staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., fighting off anxiety, trying to convince myself that change is good, even when my body feels like I'm stuck in survival mode. Mental health is a huge part of starting over because your mind is carrying the weight of transition. And if we don't acknowledge that, we end up feeling overwhelmed, paralyzed, and unable to move forward. So, how do we protect our mental health while we are still rebuilding our lives? One of the things I find interesting is self-awareness. I feel like this is the first step towards healing. The most powerful thing I've learned is you cannot heal what you don't acknowledge. You need to know it exists for you to even work towards healing. And for me, self-awareness has been the key to breaking the cycle of mental exhaustion. It has taught me to listen to my body. If I'm exhausted, I rest. If my mind is cluttered, I pause. Pushing through burnout is not strength, it's self-destruction. And we need to identify the toxic patterns in our lives. Sometimes we restart our lives only to fall back into the same unhealthy cycles and thought patterns that we had before. And I've learned to ask myself, am I choosing growth or am I choosing comfort in the familiar, what I know? To embracing imperfection, anxiety often comes from wanting to control anything. But the truth is, we don't need to have it all figured out. Life unfolds in ways we don't always understand at first. And loneliness can also trigger self-doubt, but it won't last forever. One of the hardest parts of starting over is feeling disconnected. You lose old routines, old spaces, and sometimes even the old friendships that we had, and so you're just alone. And that isolation, it can take a toll on your mental health. And you find yourself falling back and starting to believe the lies that you tell yourself. I'm behind, I'm falling back, no one understands what I'm going through. But I need you to hear me when I say this. Loneliness in transition is not a sign that you are lost. It's a sign that you are growing beyond what no longer fits you. So I want to encourage you to make space for something better. Even if you can't see it yet, we need to ground ourselves in healthy habits that when your mind is in survival mode, you need anchors, the small habits that remind you of who you are. And I'd like to share some of the things that I do that have saved me. And one of them is morning stillness. When I wake up, before I check my phone, before the world demands my energy, I give myself a moment of peace, a deep breath, a prayer, a reminder maybe that I am enough. You know, the affirmations I say every morning keep me grounded. Movement, it could be a walk, maybe stretch for 15 minutes or just step out for fresh air. It helps a lot. Movement pulls me out of my head and into the present. It keeps me grounded. Another thing I do is journaling. I love to write, not because I have all the answers, but because seeing my thoughts on paper makes me feel less overwhelming. It just helps me to process. These are very small habits, but they keep me anchored when life feels unsteady. And so I'd just like to tell you that you are not lost, because you are a work in progress. And if in this season you're starting over, I need you to hear this. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are rebuilding. You are growing, and you're learning to trust yourself again. So give yourself the grace to grow. The journey is just the beginning. I won't lie to you. Starting over is hard. There'll be days when doubt creeps in, nights when fear keeps you awake, moments when you feel and question everything. But one day you'll wake up and realize that the heaviness is gone. You will see pieces of yourself coming back together in ways that you have never even imagined. And in that moment, you will know it was worth everything. You are worth it, and it was worth it. And if you're walking through this right now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment, share your story below, and you can encourage someone today. Because here at Soulful Conversations, you are never alone. I'm Nicole Shahale, and I'm your host. Welcome to Soulful Conversations.